So I guess to begin with, how long have hospitality management and culinary been working together to, make this kitchen?
The program I started in 2012, and it was about 8 years old at that time.
Wow.
However, our first couple of classes, they only had one or two students in them, so our program has grown
Yeah.
considerably. But the chefs and I, they've always worked hand in hand. The chefs and I have tailored our curriculum to very much focus on the food and beverage industry.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like in the curriculum for hospitality management, culinary is one of the required
Yes,
courses, which really
correct.
surprised me. I was.
Yes. Well, one of the misunderstandings is hospitality management is really an umbrella term, and it covers anything that has to do with customer service or customer interactions and relations. So we have tailored our curriculum to focus specifically towards the restaurant. Some schools have hotels, some have restaurants, some have resorts, some have golf management. Um, our program was very open to hotels and to restaurants. I focused it on restaurants mainly because that's what we're trying to demonstrate here.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now RJ told me that whenever he went to school here, like the restaurants here were nothing like the restaurants that
Correct.
are here today. Have you kind of like noticed that as well, both on the restaurant
Yes.
side and
Yes. Um, the restaurant industry is extremely difficult, and people, especially with the explosion of the Food Network, a lot more people would like to cook and learn the methods behind the cooking. Um, that's not exactly what we teach. We teach commercial kitchen cooking, so how to cook for a restaurant. Instead of how to cook for a table of four, we cook for a table of 100. Um, there's just a different kind of mindset that goes into it's very militaristic in terms of how we organize our classes and how they get ready to go. But the food industry in Sheridan alone has changed dramatically in the last 20-25 years.
I guess since your students are learning how to do this for like a table of 100, I guess that makes them excellent caterers whenever they're like.
They do. One of the benefits of our program, we do several off-premise caterings, community outreach, community functions. In the past, we've done things like Friends of the Library, the Downtown Sheridan Association. We've done weddings. It all kind of
Nice.
depends on what fits into our curriculum that semester and what will be the most beneficial learning experience for the students.
Awesome.
Yes.
So, obviously the restaurant scene has really changed in Sheridan. Has the hospitality management side kind of changed with that, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, Different age groups have different expectations of what service is. The problem with customer service is it's intangible. You can't touch that as a product. We know when we've received good customer service, we know when we've received bad customer service, but there's no defined metric to measure that. So, in terms of the changing of the food scenes, you can see that in Sheridan specifically with the amount of food trucks that we now have. That's a relatively new explosion within 5 years. The way that food trucks deal with customers is very different than how a restaurant would deal with customers. So it's all changing, it's all learning, and it's all growing. All at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, no, definitely. One of my majors in college was marketing, so
Okay.
I
So you
had a couple of
understand.
consumer behavior courses, and yeah, and we talked about the fact that like older generations really like it whenever somebody stops by and checks out on them, and
Absolutely.
younger generations not so much.
Counting change is a perfect example of that. One of the activities that we do is can you count change back? Because in Sheridan, we have a lot of baby boomers. They're in that retirement age. That's one of the things that they absolutely appreciate is someone that can count change back.
That's interesting.
It's one of those you don't really think of, but it is. I think it's an important skill.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me see. I had a couple of questions written down
Okay.
really quick. It was only like three questions, but oh yeah. So obviously culinary is one of the required courses for your students. I know that all culinary students have to spend some time in the kitchen. Is that the same with hospitality management? Do
It
they have to spend time at
is.
the
It
institute?
is. So, and I can actually show you a copy of this. So this is our program, kind of a program flow. So the first 3 classes, Introduction to Hospitality Management, Sanitation, and Basic Culinary Skills, are the same for both degree programs. There's a lot of classes that deal with both, and you can take both of our programs and get 2 degrees in 3 years.
Nice.
And that's really what we recommend to make the student. It's great to have back of the house experience. It's great to have front of the house experience. In the culinary industry, you will never be in a situation where you get to work alone. So learning how to collaborate, problem solve, and really learn how to deal with your fellow coworkers, students, is a big, big skill set for our kids.
And I guess also, understanding both sides really puts them in a place where they can be an entrepreneur if they want to, too.
Absolutely. And I will admit, our chefs are excellent at food purchasing, receiving, storing, and they're great at the math aspect of being a chef, how much yield, and I think a lot of that comes from going to the Culinary Institute of America. But my classes focus on developing your business plan. What is it that your business wants to do, and how much capital does that take? So we've incorporated, it's called Young Entrepreneurs. And what our students do is they come to me with whatever their idea is for when they graduate. It can be a bar, it can be a restaurant, it can be a food truck. And we take that, and over the course of 2 years or 3 years, depending, we firm that business plan into something solid that they can have when they leave here.
That's cool.
As like kind of a portfolio, yes. So they get to use the off-premise catering events that we do. Sometimes we do events here on campus. They get to put all of that into their portfolio, what they liked, what they didn't like. It's a lot about self-reflection. Everybody thinks it's a great idea to own a restaurant until you own a restaurant.
Yeah, I'd imagine that there's probably a lot of industry analysis involved, like
Absolutely.
looking at the 5 forces and whatnot. So that's cool. Yeah, it's it's kind of right up my alley. But,
Have you ever been to our restaurant?
I haven't eaten there. No,
Okay.
I saw RJ there.
You did? Okay. Well, I'll give you a copy of our menus. And if you have free time, please feel free to join us on any Thursday or Friday.
Awesome.
Our first menu is classical Italian. That's kind of one of the other changes that we made. So in a traditional culinary institute, generally the chef will come to whoever it is, and they'll say, this is the menu, create it. Our chefs have turned that model on its head. So the students come in with ideas for appetizer, soup, salad, entrees, and dessert. And collectively, they vote on it as a class, what they would like to see on the menu. And the chefs and I just give them a little bit of direction if maybe there's too many items that come from the grill and not enough that come from the saute stations in the kitchen. But everybody will get a chance to rotate in the back and then out in the front as well.
And it seems like there's a lot of flexibility with the menu items too, because I noticed, there was a lot of seafood on there, and I was really surprised by that,
And we're really big into sustainability. So in terms of that, we have a meat fabrication class, and all of the steaks, fish, ducks, geese that they process in that class are actually cryovac, frozen, and then served by the sophomores in our restaurant. So we really try to eliminate as much waste as possible.
Yeah.
Which is very important.
And anything that can't be cryoed, I was told that the students actually get to take it home. And
They do. This is one of the few programs you never go hungry.
It's cool. So awesome. Well, I mean, I think that's it as far as my questions are concerned. I know this was really short. And,
that's okay.
Yeah, no, that was it. Okay. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. It was very nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too.
We hope to see you at the restaurant.
Yeah, no, we'll do. I'll try to actually come by this week.